Welcome back to On Air with Lupton. I am your host, James Lupton. Today's guest is mixed martial artist Shem Rock, a young man who attended private school whilst living in what Shem called the ghetto. He stood out amongst his peers before leaving private school to find himself involved in the street life, committing crimes, dealing drugs, before fleeing the country on the run, travelling around the world for 10 years. Whilst on the run in Asia, Shem found Brazilian Jujitsu, and all these years later, Shem finds himself back in Liverpool surrounded by UFC fighters like Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, as he too aims to one day fight for Dana White's promotions. Now, this episode was recorded at the Next Generation MMA gym in Liverpool, so I do apologise for any background noise that was picked up during this episode, but I really do hope you enjoy the listen. Please subscribe and rate the channel, as it is greatly appreciated. And now, over to interview myself and Shem Rock. Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. Your upbringing, what was your upbringing like? It's a bit different to usual upbringings that I've seen on reports and interviews. Talk to me about your upbringing.
It's different to some. If you're from Liverpool, lad, and you just grew up on a council estate, then it's not that different, lad. Grew up kind of mum and dad divorced, raised by a single parent. She raised 3 kids by herself. Moved all over, fucking been through it, to be honest, lad, but shaped me to be the man who I am today.
That's my next question. Did it shape who you are today, and what was the most impactful thing you went through?
It's weird when I have to think back and talk about it, because for me it's just my life, innit? So for me it's the norm. It's not till maybe you speak to other people and it's not the norm for them. I'd say definitely everything I've been through has shaped me to the man I am today.
Did you go private school?
Yeah, I went private. This is when my mum and dad still lived together. I went to a private school in Parkgate, and then mum and dad got divorced. The money dried up, and then I went back to the ghetto, lad. I was only, what was I? No younger than 4, no older than 6, 7. So I wasn't there for a long time. And then left, and then I was back in general population.
Although you was only there for a short time and at a very young age, did you ever feel different during school?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I can vividly remember coming out the school gates and being with another kid in my class and saying to him, how come your granddad always picks you up, lad? And he was like, what? That's not my granddad, that's my dad. Where his dad's fucking about 60 years of age, because most of these other kids who are in private school come from wealthy families. The majority of them are older men, aren't they, lad, who have made it. And my dad's in his 20s, big black guy, head to toe, covered in tattoos. Used to pick me up from school in a bulletproof vest, fucking blazing DMX and 2-pack out the LDTT, lad. All the other parents just used to look at us like, what a scumbag he is.
Did you get, or did you feel that reception from other kids in the school that they looked on you differently?
It was mad, because even though I'm going to school in Parkgate, we're still going to Toxteth every day. So you're talking what's that, an hour and a half, 2-hour drive to go school and back. So then when I'm going back home and I'm in the ends, I'm out till all hours, because me nan just used to let me stay out till whatever time I wanted. So I'm out till all hours. And then it'd be a weird contrast, because now then the next morning I gotta wake up and put a fucking tie and a skull cap on and go to this school. And I just used to think these kids are different. But it wasn't them that was different, it was me that was different. But for my norm, when I'd speak to them about what did you do last night? And they were like, oh, we did algebra. And I'm like, what? I was playing knock a door run by Asmi. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, you knock on the door, wait for them to come and run away, and they're like, why would you do that? Just mad shit, we're just different, innit?
Talk to me about older you got, street life, crime, dealing drugs. Your life took a very different path to the private school path. Talk about the turning point for you when it turned down that route.
Yeah, obviously, being young lad, looking around where I'm from, and seeing people of success. Majority of the people, everyone's going to measure success differently, but at a young age, I'm looking at the guys who got the nice cars, the guys who were getting the girls, the guys who got the money. They weren't business owners, do you know what I mean? So I'm looking at them, and that's at some point who you aspire to be like, innit? You aspire to be like the men of fucking success around you, and they were the men of success around me, lad. So from a young age, especially being around like some of my family members as well and some of their peers, I just wanted to be like them. I didn't really know anything else, and evidently led me to make some choices in life that if I could go back I'd change. But like I said, bro, they made me the man who I am today. And then eventually, after not long, bit later in life, then obviously I got fucking wanted for a crime that I didn't commit. And that's where I fucking fled the country and left the UK.
We'll come on to that. In terms of what age were you when you started going down the wrong path, and did you know right from wrong at that time?
Being a little twat as a kid, lad, it starts early, lad. It starts early, don't it? Like I said, it can just start with fucking knock a door run. And then it can start with fucking, I don't know, smashing windows for the older ones for 20 quids. And then it can start from robbing from the corner shop. It can start, so it's an easy slippery slope to fall down. I was never really like a shoplifter or anything like that. That weren't my thing. But I was a little bastard. We was always looking, how can we take a chase? How can we get the police called? And that's where it really starts, innit? Because I guess normal kids don't really get up to that.
Did you enjoy the adrenaline rush that it gave you, that chase from the police or the knock a door and run?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a natural born adrenaline chaser, and that's probably why I love what I do now. It's crazy because I speak to people about fighting and they're like, oh, that must be the biggest adrenaline you ever got in your life. And I'm like, no, it's not even close. It's not even close to what I used to do. But it's the closest thing that I can find that is legal. So I'll take it.
You mentioned earlier life on the run. I think 7 years you spent on the run for a crime you didn't commit. You fled the country, went over to France, Thailand, Malaysia. You mentioned the adrenaline rush and that feeling. Did you get a rush from being on the run, even though you was probably at the same time shitting yourself?
I'd done 10 years away, so it was 8 in Asia and 2 in Dublin, pretty much. Do you know what? I was never shitting myself once. I didn't really care. I just didn't have no faith in the justice system. I had no faith in the police, so I just weren't willing to just go and hand myself into the police station for a crime that I never committed. So I decided to run, and when I ran, I didn't think I'd last more than 2 weeks. So after a long period of time, and it's been years, I'm like, this is a bonus to me. Every day is just a bonus. I never thought I'd last this long, and when I did get caught, so to speak, I never thought that they'd do right by me even, and I'd get a not guilty. So the fact that I lasted 10 years and come back and got a not guilty for me was just all one big bonus, lad.
Did you ever feel, you mentioned you wasn't scared, you weren't shitting yourself, did you ever feel you were sort of looking over your shoulder constantly whilst you was out?
Felt like I was more looking over my shoulder when I was up to no good and living in the city than I was when I was away. Like, I got no problems with no one away. I'm not up to no badness. I'm not doing nothing illegal. I'm a civilian for the first time in my life, lad. It felt like I was on holiday, and then at some point the holiday faded and it felt like now I live here. But I was never ever looking over my shoulder. Don't get me wrong. It's subconsciously always going to be in the back of your head, going to fights, travelling through airports, because I'd always get stopped at the airport. My passport would always get flagged up. So they'd be the little moments where you'd have a little fucking, your ass would go a little bit. But living everyday normal life in the cities and in different countries, it wasn't really wasn't really in the forefront of my mind ever, to be honest.
Whilst you was out in Asia, you found MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically. Would you say that it saved you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, if I look at the peers that I used to keep at the time when I was living in the UK before I left to Asia, if I look at what they're doing now, majority of them are in jail, on drugs, dead, on the run, or still heavily involved in crime. So it's like the saying, if you hang around 5 idiots, you'll be the sixth. If you hang around 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. If I was hanging around 5 of them folks, where do you think I would be? So, as it saved me life, I can't answer that question because that implies that I'd be dead. But as it changed my life for the better, as it gave me a career, as it gave me fucking drive, waking up every morning with something positive to go and achieve every day, definitely. And I just hope that what I've been through and now like speaking about it, people of a similar background maybe might go down that similar path, can kind of see me as an inspiration and use my story to maybe not go down that path and go, well, if he's done it, I can do it. And I say this all the time, like, it doesn't have to be MMA. It can be anything. It can be whatever you enjoy doing. You can monetize it, but you just have to be willing to grind and struggle. Like, people see the success story of Shem Rock, but they don't see the 10 years of unpaid grind in the gym, fighting for free, breaking bones, breaking me face, breaking hands, not seeing me family for long periods of time. Like, if you want something in this life, and if it's worth having, especially, it will not be easy. You'd have to be willing to go through the grinder for it.
Do you remember the first time you walked into that gym and tried it out? Why did you go into that gym that time?
Um, I'd always been a fan of combat sports. As a kid, my first dream was to be a sportsman. I wanted to be a 100-meter sprinter when I was a kid. I've always been fast. I wanted to be a sprinter, and then obviously growing up in Liverpool, Steven Gerrard, the football club, that somewhere changed down the line, so I wanted to be a footballer. But all the years growing up, I've always been a fan of combat sports. My dad used to let us stay up and watch the boxing, the Tyson fights. He'd bring his mates round, he'd put the videotapes on, watch the UFC fights and that. We always had DVDs and that in the house. Even if it wasn't like sanctioned fights, it's still fights, you know what I mean? So I've always been a fan. But when I found the UFC, I always just used to like it when the fights went to the ground. I've always been a big fan of the grappling and the floor stuff. Didn't really know much about jiu-jitsu, but I knew that when the fight went to the floor, that was jiu-jitsu. And I can remember when I was in Asia, I had to do a visa run to Singapore to come back to Malaysia to then get another 90 days in my passport. And while I'm on this visa run in Malaysia, I remember walking past this big, massive glass window. And when I looked in, there was loads of people in the gi, in the kimono, doing jiu-jitsu. And I knew it was jiu-jitsu because they were taking each other down and submitting each other. It was like an open mat. And I didn't know much. I just knew that black belt meant good and white belt meant shit. So I just looked through the window and was trying to watch the black belts, and I must have stood there for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, just watching all these people just go at it. And I remember walking away and thinking, I'd love to do that, I'd love to give that a little go. And it just stuck with me in the back of my mind, and now months down the line, I'm in Malaysia walking down the street and I just see a sign that says Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I walked in the gym and just tried it, lad, and I got the shock of my life. I got choked out by small Asian men, women, kids, everyone. And I think from that moment it kind of triggered something in me. Like, I remember just going home and sitting on the end of my bed right before I get in the shower, and I'm just sitting there naked for about 20 minutes just contemplating life, like, what the fuck just happened to me there? And I didn't I didn't I didn't know what fully happened, but I just knew I wanted to be able to do that to other people, and I wanted to make sure that that could never happen to me again. Like, in my mind, I'm starting to think, like, if that guy wanted to rape me, he could have raped me. If that guy wanted to kill me, he could have killed me. and I couldn't have done nothing about it. And he wasn't even the same size as me, so imagine a guy bigger than me who knew jiu-jitsu. It was like I'd discovered a superpower, lad, here on it.
You mentioned earlier the 10 years of grafting, unpaid, working hard in the gym, behind the doors, behind the scenes. What was that like? Why did that keep you going? Why did you keep coming back to get choked out, to get beaten up at times? What drove you to keep going back to the gym?
It's weird because when I found the sport, I had no intention of being a professional fighter. I had no intention of competing. I just found something that I enjoyed. It was almost like a hobby. I found something that I enjoyed and that I was just obsessed with immediately. Like, I straight away was training 3 sessions a day, every single day, and I just wanted to get better. I was trying to train with the best guys in the room, and I was trying to one-up them every single day. And before I know it, my coach put me in to compete, and now I started competing, and then before I know it, I got to represent Great Britain in the Worlds, and then before I know it, I transitioned, and now I'm fighting MMA, and it was just a real snowball effect. And it's weird because you set these goals for yourself, and I almost set unachievable goals, so I've always got something to chase. But then these unachievable goals, you end up achieving them, and then it's like, shit, what do I do now? And I feel like most people, they like to sit back and enjoy the fruits of the labour, so to speak. I'm not that type of person. As soon as I achieve one of them unachievable goals, I set a new one immediately. And I think that's why it kept snowballing to bigger and bigger things, because after I achieve that goal, I'm straight away looking what's the next thing. I don't even really sit down. Sometimes when I achieve the goal, I've got the next goal in mind, ready to pursue it. And I think you need something to chase. You need someone to chase. You need guys to beat you up every day. You need a level to aspire to be. And I think that's just what kept me in the grind constantly. I'm still in that grind. There's still guys that beat me up now that I want to aspire to be better than. There's still guys that I watch on TV that I aspire to be better than. There's still massive goals that I want to achieve that I haven't achieved. And when I do achieve them, I'll have new goals that I want to achieve. It's a never-ending cycle, because otherwise I'll probably just be depressed, lad, and sit at home with nothing to do. And I can't be that guy.
Talk to me about when you came back. So you mentioned earlier you was cleared not guilty of the crime. You came back to Liverpool. You was gone for a long time. Did that make it easier to not slip back into your old ways and back into the same circle of friends?
It's weird because even though like I don't do what I used to do, I still consider a lot of them people to be friends. And now, because I've actually found my passion in life, it's easy for me to separate myself from what they do to what I do. I don't have the time on my hands like I used to. I don't have time to go and hang around with friends. I don't have no time to waste. I'm not able to go clubbing and chase girls and go on holiday. I'm in the gym 3 times a day, 6 days a week, and any spare moment that I do get free, I'm looking to use that to optimise my training, whether it's recovery, whether it's nutrition, whether it's sleep, to rest, to recover. And I feel like I've got this tunnel vision focus, and I'm really motivated to do these things because I have found my passion. And this is something that I wish I found sooner in life, but I never. So I'm just going to give it all I can now while I can.
So here today, next generation MMA gym, surrounded by UFC fighters. You've got your Paddy, Pimblett, your McCann, Nathan Fletcher's just gone in there. You've got your Luke Riley coming through at Cage Warriors. A lot of prospects in this gym as well. You mentioned earlier, surround yourself with 6 thieves, you're going to be the 7th. You surround yourself with 6 millionaires, you'll be the 7th millionaire. You surround yourself by fighters and champions, you'll be the next. What's this environment like for you?
This environment is just a breeding ground of absolute killers, and like you said, champions. Everyone's contesting for titles in the highest promotions in Europe and progressing to the UFC, and everyone's touted to be the next big thing out the gym, and it's good to have that competitiveness in the gym where we're trying to one up each other every day. We're trying to beat each other in training because that's how you all ultimately improve. And it's crazy because sometimes you forget, like, you don't feel like you're improving. You feel like, I've been doing this now for 2 years and I'm the same as I was 2 years ago. And then it's not that, it's that everyone's improving together. So we're all getting better. So it feels like I haven't surpassed so and so, but he's improving as I'm improving. So it's going to be hard to do that. It's not till maybe you go and train with someone who you've trained with from outside the gym in the past, and then you used to have close rounds with them, and now you're fucking them up, and now you're like, oh fucking hell, he hasn't improved. I've improved loads. Or till you go back and you study old fight footage and you see holes in your game that you couldn't see then, but now you see them now because you've improved a lot. It's crazy because this is just the beginning for this gym. We've got also the next generation of talent that are coming through that we've kind of already made the mistakes that they don't have to make, and the generation before me made the mistakes that I don't have to make. So this gym's forever going to be evolving and getting better, and the coaching staff are constantly improving and trying to learn more and going out and brainstorming, and you get to fucking travel to all different countries and see how other UFC fighters are doing it and bring it back home. And so imagine the next 10 years, imagine the next 20 years, imagine the next 40 years. The level in not only this gym, just this city is crazy. And I do think that northwest of England right now is a hotbed of MMA, like your Vegas is, like your Dagestan is. Liverpool's one of them cities.
You mentioned there's a few UFC fighters here. Everyone's fighting for different sort of promotional outfits. UFC is sort of the end goal for almost every MMA fighter. Is that your ambition?
Well, I can tell you this. I was sitting in jail dreaming about being in the UFC. I wasn't sitting in jail dreaming about being on no other promotion. So if the UFC ever come with a serious offer, I would have to take it serious and consider it. But as of right now, I'm an octagon fighter. I'm happy to be an octagon fighter. Octagon are looking after me and treating me very well. I've got 2 fights left on my contract. So let's see, once these fights are done, maybe we can renegotiate, maybe we can see what's next. Or maybe I go elsewhere. I don't really like to look past my next fight, to be honest. And I've been offered the next fight, so I should be back in the cage very, very soon. I can't say who it is or where it is right now because we're waiting for that guy to sign the contract. I just hope it's not like the rest of the division and I get turned down and I'm sitting here without a dance partner again, because that's what it's starting to get like these days.
You mentioned if the UFC come in with a serious offer, you have to consider it. I know Paddy Pimblett, who's one of your gym mates, he turned the UFC down twice before he joined them in the third offer. Have they offered you anything before that wasn't what you would consider as satisfactory?
It's hard, like you said. There's people who turn down the UFC in the past because sometimes, lads, you're making more money outside the UFC than you would in your first 3 fights in the UFC. And when you're a prize fighter and you've got family and bills to pay, it's hard. But I do know the UFC are watching. I know they got their eyes on not only me, on all of the prospects coming out of next gen. And they haven't come with no offer yet, but I'm sure they're gonna come with one very soon.
Let's talk about Octagon. Let's talk about fighting for them. You know, obviously, does it give you pride to know you're fighting on a platform of that size?
I think I've been lucky in my past of getting to fight in a stadium before I experienced it with Octagon. I fought in a stadium for an amateur title when I was an amateur. I fought in a stadium when I fought in Taiwan. I fought in a good arena before in Dubai. So I think they were like small stepping stones to build me up to my debut in Octagon, which was a sold out 20,000 seater stadium, and then getting to fight in Prague in the open air Stavant Stadium, which is like at the time was their like fight card of the year, and then getting to go into Eden, the 30,000 seat stadium, and fight Buccorny, it's definitely big ticks off my bucket list. Like, not many people can say they fought in a football stadium. It's like even unheard of in the UFC. It doesn't really happen, and I do thank Octagon for the opportunity, and I'm grateful. But like I said before, I'm on to the next goal now. I've done that. I'm not thinking about what I've done. I'm thinking about what I still need to achieve, and there's a long list of things that I'm still yet to do.
You mentioned fighting in stadiums as an amateur, and did that help relieve any pressure? Or are you a fighter that doesn't really feel too much pressure before a fight?
I think everyone feels pressure before the fight. To say you don't feel pressure before the fight is you're either stupid or arrogant if you don't. You need that pressure, you need that nervousness, you need that fear to perform. But I don't think I feel pressure the same way other people feel pressure. I think a lot of people shy away from that nervousness, the fear. They try and push it away. I embrace that. I want that. I want the most fear I've ever felt. I want the most adrenaline. I want the most... I love that formation of butterflies in my stomach. I like that because I know I need that to perform. The fights where I've fought with no fear or like I'm confident that I'm going to win have been my worst performances, and the fights where I'm terrified have been my best performances. I want to go out there every single time, and this is why I'm always asking for the bigger stadium. I'm always asking for the home crowd favourite to fight against. I want to be booed. I want me back against the wall. I want people to feel like I'm going to lose so I can prove them all wrong, because I just feel like that's when I perform to my best, lad, when I'm not supposed to be here. I guess every fighter's got their own mindset and everyone's got a different mentality, but at the end of the day, when I get in there to fight, and I know how to fight, so no matter what's going through my head, when it comes down to it, I just think this is just a fight to the death. I've got to kill this cunt before he kills me. If you simplify it like that, it does make it a little bit easier.
You mentioned earlier about adrenaline. You say there you prefer going into your opponent's backyard. Is that what you mentioned? Then also the butterflies in your stomach and that feeling of fear. Is that what sort of carries you through a fight? How do you carry that into, as soon as the bell's gone round one? How do you control those emotions?
It's weird because I get in the octagon and it's like everything just goes away. I don't see the crowd anymore. The lights come on above the cage. The crowd gets darkened. You can't really see out even if you want to. The guy in front of me, from then on, he's no longer a name. He's just a body with a style. And I've prepared for that style specifically, so I know what he's coming with. He's just another body type. I just take all emotions out of it. I take all feeling out of it. And it's like you're almost go into like a flow state, into autopilot. You're not thinking anymore. I think if you think, you're slow. You're almost a step behind. I'm not thinking anymore. I'm just fighting off instinct. Everything that I've been training for in the camp kind of just comes into fruition. What we've been warming up backstage. And I just take all of the emotion out of it. And I think when you fight like that, the butterflies disappear, the adrenaline disappears. You're just calm and collected. And I think ultimately, lad, if you're going to go the distance, that'll probably help you with your cardio as well, more than being nervous, being anxious, overthinking. And I don't know how I got to that state, but I felt like I've been like that in all of my fights, to be honest. I think maybe that's just something in me. I don't know. I couldn't answer that question.
Do you think it could be with the years and years of training in the gym, of fights, that calmness almost, or that bell triggers a calmness in you through repetition in the gym?
I think that definitely helps. I think preparation is a big boost in confidence, because you know you're ready, whether it's in your forefront of your mind or subconsciously. You know deep down that you're ready, and if you go into a fight ready, you're always going to perform better than if you're not ready, even if it's just a mental factor. But I don't know. I also think like it's a weird thing to say, but some of the hardships I've been through in my life, fighting don't compare to that at all. Nowhere near. Some of the things that I've been through, some of the things I've seen, some of the things I've done, it's not even 10%. So I think then to perform under that pressure is a lot easier. So even though they're completely different things, it still simulates that same fear, that same pressure, that same your life's on the line, your back's against the wall. So maybe that helped me with performing. Who knows, lad? Or maybe I'm just a fucking. I'm just born for it, lad. I don't know.
Well, Shem, I want to thank you for your time. All the best, hopefully fighting out soon, and you start ticking off that bucket list and your goals. Thank you very again.